Did you know that ancient Egyptian, the language of the pharaohs and the pyramids, didn't end with the hieroglyphs, but instead evolved into a language still spoken today? Welcome to a journey through time, tracing the evolution of this fascinating language from its earliest forms to its modern existence in the Coptic language. Picture this, it's around 3200 BC in the era of the pharaohs, and the earliest form of Egyptian language emerges. Known as Archaic Egyptian, it's primarily a spoken language, but it also has a written form, the famous hieroglyphs. These pictorial symbols, carved into stone or painted on papyrus, were complex and rich in detail, each symbol representing a word, a syllable, or even a single sound. Fast forward to around 2600 BC, the age of the Old Kingdom. The Egyptian language has evolved into what scholars call Old Egyptian. This form of the language is found in many monumental inscriptions and funerary texts, providing us with a wealth of information about the lives and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. Around 2000 BC, during the Middle Kingdom, Middle Egyptian emerges. This is the classical form of the language used in literature, scientific, and medical texts. Interestingly, while the spoken language continued to evolve, Middle Egyptian remained the standard written form for centuries, a bit like Latin in medieval Europe. By around 1300 BC, we see the emergence of Late Egyptian during the New Kingdom. This is a more colloquial form of the language, reflecting the everyday speech of the people. It's during this period that hieroglyphs start to give way to a more simplified script known as hieratic. The next major shift happens around 700 BC with the rise of Demotic Egyptian. The hieratic script evolves into an even more simplified form known as Demotic, which is easier to write and more suited to papyrus and ink. It's also during this period that Egypt comes under Greek and then Roman rule, leading to significant cultural and linguistic influences. Fast forward to the first few centuries AD, and we see the final stage in the evolution of the ancient Egyptian language. Demotic gives way to Coptic, a language written using the Greek alphabet with a few additional letters to represent sounds not found in Greek. Coptic becomes the language of Christian Egypt, used in religious texts and services. And so, by around 400 AD, the ancient Egyptian language, which began with the hieroglyphs, has evolved into Coptic. The hieroglyphs, once the pride of Egyptian culture, fall out of common use, their secrets lost to time until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone in the 19th century. But the story doesn't end there. While Arabic is now the most widely spoken language in Egypt, Coptic is still used in the Coptic Orthodox Church and studied by scholars around the world. Online communities also exist where enthusiasts can learn and use the language, keeping this ancient Egyptian linguistic tradition alive. So, there we have it, the journey of the ancient Egyptian language, from the hieroglyphs of the pharaohs to the Coptic of today. A language not lost, but transformed, continuing to echo through the ages.